In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Bhrigupati annihilated the administrative class, Ksatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class. The Ksatriyas, or the administrative class of men, are expected to rule the planet by the direction of the intelligent class of men, who give directions to the rulers in terms of the standard Shastras, or the books of revealed knowledge. The rulers carry on the administration according to that direction. Whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas, or the administrative class, against the orders of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, the administrators are removed by force from the post, and arrangement is made for better administration. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaura Vani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyari Bhashyate Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Avataresho dashame pashyan brahma druho nirpan trisapta kritva kupito nishatram akaron mahim. Translation. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Bhrigupati annihilated the administrative class, Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class. Within the Varnashram system is the Kshatriyas. Kshatriya comes from the word kshat. Kshat or khat. Khatra, what is khatra? Is danger. So Kshatriyas protect from danger. They are meant to protect. Now in modern day people say everyone should be peaceful, there should be no wars, and avoid violence at any cost, and ahimsa, these kind of rules. But this is not practical. This material world consists of jivas who left the spiritual world and came to escape Krishna. So they are covered by guna. As they came in this material world, immediately they got covered by guna. Rajaguna samudbhava, that Bhagavad Gita explains. And in this material world, everyone is covered by the guna. Every single person except Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who is lying in the milk ocean. Because we are covered by guna, we have tendency to enjoy sense gratification. And there will be some who are more predominated by mode of ignorance. And if they're not pious, then they will be criminally minded. They'll be tending towards sinful activity. This is in any society on this planet. They will be sinful people. Police are required, force is required to keep this civilization, to keep the society of human society in order. Force is required. You can just see, for example, when a child is being brought up, so then, even then, the tendency of the child, he will do mischief. So the parent has to be heavy. And if the parent is very strict and heavy, then later on he'll be disciplined. If not, then he'll give a headache for the state. He'll do criminal tendencies. So the force is required to keep the jiva in place. And therefore the Kshatriyas were there. One of the orders of society was Kshatriyas. Now, whenever someone shows some strength or some physical, violence tendency, they say, oh, he's Kshatriya. It's not that. It's not just violent and strength. But Kshatriyas were honorable. They had honor. Honor in the sense they were following some principles, rules, moral codes, not just violent. They were subservient to Vedic culture. They were dharmic. Their violence was for supporting dharma. And there were other qualities also, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So anyway, the post of a Kshatriya is required. In a state, you have police, we have army. In the past, there was no police. Army was there, but not for the people, that was for the outside. Even today, the army is not allowed in civilian areas, many countries. In a republic, this is a republic. India declared themselves republic in, I think, knows it? 1950. Ganatantra Divas, the Republic Day, 26th January, India declared themselves a republic, which means that they'll elect a representative and those representatives will rule. So then they have now a system of legislature, judiciary and military, 3 separate institutions. One cannot be controlled by the other. So the military is not allowed in civilian areas, so they cannot come and take government by force, which happens to our northern neighbor very often. So the administration is done, there's rules and regulations, but people won't listen. Many people won't listen. So you have to have a force to tell, if you don't listen, you'll be punished, you'll be put in jail. That is required in a society. So the certain class is brought up to regulate order in this society and also from other people who are trying to take over. It's a whole different culture. The Kshatriyas, they had a different culture than Brahmanas or Vaishya or any other of the Varnas, because they had a different role, their character was different. They will be, as we read many times in Srila Prabhupada's books, for example, he said that it's normal in a Kshatriya wedding, 1 or 2 people will die. Just, there'll be a fight, then everything will be over. It's okay after that. Their whole mood was different. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the characteristic, Kshatram Karma Svabhavajam, the qualities born of a Kshatriya nature, Shauryam Tejo Dhriti Daksham. Shauri means heroism. They were heroic. They could do something, risking their life and risking their safety. Shauryam Teja. Teja means strength, power. Dhriti, determination. Dhriti, Daksham, resourcefulness. Resourcefulness, expert. They could manipulate because they had to rule the country. They had to make sure that the people will come from other places as spies. There's something called, what's it called? Subterfuge. So there's people will come from other countries and try and spoil this country. They'll destroy the fields. There's a, what's the word in English? Subterfuge, no. Subversion. Anyway, they'll work against this country. Secretly, neighbors will come and try to spoil the system, the farming system, or make people revolt against their rulers. So they had to be smart to understand what is really going on behind. And resourcefulness, yudhecha appalayanam, not running from battle. This is important. If you're going to fight a battle, don't run away. Dhanam, generosity. Kshatriyas have a characteristic of giving charity because they'll collect a lot of tax from the people. It's their duty. So then they have to give it back in the form of taking care of the society, charity. Ishvara bhava, nature to control. Some people cannot control other people or don't want to, then that's going to be very difficult if you have to rule over some people. So Ishvara bhava is required, the tendency to rule over people and the quality. Shatam karma svabhavajam. So svabhavajam means born of his nature. So in that way we see there were people like that. But then you see they were not acting independently. Kshatriyas had to be under Brahmanas. Characteristics of a Kshatriya is that he'll be under Brahmanas and he will be subservient and taking guidance from them, because he knows that I cannot have that subtle intelligence to understand the Shastra. They understand, but they cannot rule. I can rule. So together they combine, and then the society is peaceful. So qualities of a Kshatriya, now we cannot see, but if you read Mahabharata, we see what were the characteristics that time. That we can see, for example, this story of Abhimanyu, how he was trapped. Alone he fought so many Kshatriyas, such that even opposing team were, cheering him. The opposing side, the Purva Paksh, at his heroism, Shauri, they were admiring. 16-year-old boy fighting, not afraid of death, and they eventually 3 or 4 had to come together to defeat him. That was adharma, because in dharmic war, people fight their level and one at a time, not that you'll attack from the back. But already it was the end of Dwapar Yuga. Otherwise, there was dharmic yudh was totally different. I heard in some lectures from learned people in Shastra that one of the reasons that India fell when invaders were coming from the west, from the northwest, Muslims, one of the reasons that Kshatriyas lost is because they were fighting dharma yudh. Muslims won't. They'll attack at night, secretly. And there's one big narration how, for example, one particular ruler tried to come to South India. He kept failing. Here in Karnataka, what were these people called? No, in the mountains, beginning with the K. They're here in Karnataka. There's a certain group of people, Kshatriya nature. They were fighting. Anyway, they're still here today. I forgot their name. So they were heroic Kshatriyas. They were living in the mountains, and they fought. What was his name? Tipu. I can't remember the names. They fought one particular ruler so much he could not defeat them. So he called them to a peace conference. Okay, so they came for the peace. You'll come without your weapons to a peace conference. So then his army came out of the jungle and killed them, attacked and killed, I think, 2/3 of their population, something like that. Till now they remember that day and observe it. So in that way they were defeated through cheating or attacking at night or poisoning, but fighting man to man, they were very, person to person. Kshatriyas were very qualified. They were so qualified that one expression Srila Prabhupada gave, how a disciple should be alert to his guru. He said that just as the Kshatriya, when he's sleeping, if someone wants to kill him, he'll use a sword, but the Kshatriya will wake up for the sound of that sword in time and catch the sword. That was their qualification. Even in sleep, they will be qualified like that. So in that way, he said that the disciple should be ready for the guru when he calls him, or to do the guru's duty. So that was their qualification. It's not like now you bring anybody into the army or police, then you train them and give them a gun, go on the field. But at that time, from age 7 or 5, they were trained. Trained in Shastra, trained in diplomacy, politics, in fighting, everything at once they'll be taught. They were trained in such a thorough way that it was common that one person could fight so many. You have Ardha Ratha, a person who could fight half a Ratha. That means with another person he could fight a person on a Rath. Then you had that Ardha Ratha, then Ratha, Maharati, Atirati, like this. They could fight up to one person could fight 1,000 people on Rath. On the Rath means, you know what it means. Rath means that they'll have different weapons and they'll not get tired because they're not running. The horse will be going, they can go round, they can take any weapon and fight anytime. So if we read Mahabharata, we'll understand what was the grade there. Even what I read, I remember that Bhishma Dev was a grandfather of, the Pitama. He was on the level of grandfather of the Pandavas, but he was fighting those people. And I remember reading that he will be doing martial arts, and they'll fire and he'll jump in the air, then do a somersault and land again. Then they'll not see where is he. They were trained in such a way, so thoroughly. So why was it required? Why was Kshatriyas required? As I mentioned, that the society of people, generally there'll always be that class of people who had to be kept in check. We cannot talk about peace. There has to be violence to keep the peace. You can't avoid that. There has to be a force. Now you're paying people, policemen are taking care, but then policemen, you're paying money, so anyone you're paying money, they're depending on the money, But based on that, they'll arrest or not arrest. And if you have a lot of money, you give them, they get more money than what their boss is giving, then they won't arrest you. They're the big problems. But in a society, if you take a section of people and train them as Kshatriyas, and train them ideologically, you know what's the meaning of ideology? Ideology means someone is governed by some philosophy or thought, not by money. For example, you have different political groups in this country. Their ideologies are different. Some are communist, some are maybe Veda, We have to follow Vedic culture or mixture of Veda and money or something, whatever they follow. Or some say no freedom, secularism, so ideology. So if a Kshatriya, he's guided by ideology that we have to maintain dharma, protect the dharma. If that is his driving force, then anything goes against, he'll go against that immediately. Parikshit Maharaj, when he saw Kali Purush, assaulting a cow, he immediately came, drew his sword, ready to kill the person. So if in a society, that was the system, every village had Kshatriyas, not that in the city, and then there was peace. They'll maintain peace in the village, within the village, and from outside, anyone coming, they'll be, not inclined to attack if they knew that. So that was required. And Kshatriyas, ideologically, means that they'll be devotees. They'll be worshipping Krishna and making sure that whatever the teachings of Gita have to be maintained. They have to be spread and they have to be maintained. And someone goes against that, they'll first of all explain, this is not correct, this is the Shastra, this is the law. And the person says, I don't care for the law. Okay, then he pull out his sword. You care for this? Give option. I'm speaking Shastra, you understand, you want to accept? No. Okay, then Shastra. Shastra means weapons. So both ways they train. They'll be quoting, this is Manu Samhita, this is the thing we have to follow. I'm not following. Then because order has to be maintained in society. At this present moment, people don't like Manu Samhita, they burn it and Okay, so then we have to make our own law. Okay, so what is now the system is a group of people will elect a law. They'll make a law, pass it in parliament. But now the problem is who's passing the law. They found recently one politician who was taking money and then she will bring up a thing in parliament based on the money she got. And because of that, they threw her out. So, yeah, if you're going to put ordinary people to make a law, what kind of law will they make? Now they have a law that women can only marry after age 21. But they can have sex at age 16 or 18. There's no problem. That's not against the law. So look at that. Legalize prostitution. Thank you to our lawmakers. So this is the problem. If we will not follow Shastra, then you'll put people and they'll make the law, then you're at their mercy. Now that's one thing, and like this, so many other strange laws. Alcohol, no problem, it's allowed. How many families have been broken by alcohol? We are seeing, especially in village. How many careers people have been ruined? And alcohol is known as a gateway drug, which means it's legal. It's not like marijuana, it's not like heroin, opium, okay. But whoever has alcohol gradually goes to that, other things, if they're not checked. Because it's one form of intoxication. After some time, that's not enough. Then another after some time there'll be another more heavy dose is required, more heavy dose. That's how it works with drug abuse. So the law should come from Shastra, because Shastra is written by God. If not by God, then by Manu. Manu was Swayambhava Manu. Swayambhava Manu, he was son of Brahma. So he was following the proper process. Some of the things people may not like, but still Vedic cultures, everything was being kept in order. So in the Bhagavatam we see different narrations of different scenarios, Kshatriyas. Some went astray. So for example, if you see King Vena was whose son? Begins with A. Anyway, forgot his. Anyway, King Vena was very sinful, extremely sinful person. He was a ruler. So the Brahmanas, they told him, you cannot be like this. We have to maintain dharma. So you properly follow the law. He refused, so they killed him. But after they killed him, another phenomena happened in society. Another problem came. Vena was a real rascal, but he was strong rascal. So because of him, the thief, no one was in the society, disturbing society. But after he left, all kind of thieves and rogues became prominent, gundas, gangsters, and they were taking the law into their own hands. Some parts of India like that now. Some parts of the forests and rural areas, or some parts of the city. It's less now. It was much more. Actually, the government now is better than before in that way. So the crime situation was very bad. And so then the Prabhupada mentioned there that when you have a strong ruler, then all these people, all the thieves, and they're not going to do anything. But if you don't have a strong ruler, then it's going to be very difficult. Particularly he mentioned that if there's a woman in charge, then this is a problem, because women by nature are not so heavy. Well, they are heavy in a different way, but they're kind of gentle nature, and so they'll not deal heavily with issues. Of course, in one way, according to Shastra, women have kind of an emotional nature, so in that way they'll deal heavily in emotional way. But as far as trying to keep law and order, it won't be so easy. And so not only we can say a person should be there, but a strong character, personality. If he is in government, then he can keep law and order. And so it is required that the person who is ruling, who's taken the position of Kshatriya, not only that he should know Shastra and administer, but he should have a strong nature that immediately, he should not be afraid to take action, he's afraid will bring a reaction, people will protest, there'll be violence and war. You have to do it. You have to do that. So that's required. And among the qualities, if you see, of the Kshatriya, so heroism, power, we said determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, leadership. These are all required. So here in this narration, in the verse today, what is it saying? That Bhrigopati, Parashuram, he appeared in a Brahmana family, but the Kshatriyas had misbehaved. That current ruler, if you read the narration, what happened, that ruler wanted his father's cow and took it by force, or kill the cow, something. So who was going to check him? He's the ruler of the state. Who's going to discipline him? So then he said these Kshatriyas are misbehaved. So he forcefully took that role and kill the Kshatriyas. It says here 21 times. Actually, if you read in Mahabharata, it was at this time that people left India to settle in Egypt and started a new society, a new civilization there. It was Vedic. And others went to Greece and then to Europe, East Europe. So many Kshatriyas left, and then the culture went there. But it was disconnected, so it formed some different civilization. But it was from the Vedic root. So here Prabhupada writes, rulers carry on administration according to the direction. Whenever there is disobedience on the part of the Kshatriyas, the administrative class, against the orders of the learned and intelligent Brahmanas, administrators are removed by force. This has to happen. Generally, in Vedic society, the common mass of people, they were trained not to interfere in politics. In countries like France and Russia, there were revolutions. Many other countries. Yeah, France, there was a French Revolution. People rose up and overthrew the rulers. Same thing happened in Russia. And then, therefore, the monarchy was gone. They were killed. But that was India, Vedic society, they were trained not to do that, because there was a trained group of people to administer that they were not interfering at all. Even when wars were fought, people were not affected, not like now. They go and kill the population, kidnap them, and that was not done in Vedic culture. In fact, war would be going on in one field, and the other field the farmer's farming. He doesn't care. It's nothing to do with him. So that was the, and so now situation is like that. Even when the ruler is bad, here in India, the people won't do much, because it's not really, they're not trained like that. It's changing now. They have to maybe come up and have a say, because in a republic you have to. It's meant to be for the people. So if people elect a wrong ruler, they'll suffer. But previously the rulers were very good. They were, in fact, it was seen that the ruler, the Kshatriya, he was seen as God. He was just like now we accept a sannyasi as on level of God, or the guru. So the Kshatriya was taken Naradeva as God on earth, representative of Krishna. And therefore Bhagavad Gita was taught to the rulers, because they were representing Imam Vivasvata Yogam Proktavan. And then Vivasvan was from him came Surya Vansh. So Ikshvaku was taught Bhagavad Gita, and at that same time all the other planets, the rulers, were taught Bhagavad Gita, and our planet Ikshvaku was ruling. So he was taught Bhagavad Gita, and they had to administer the rule according to Bhagavad Gita, not their own rule. Like now, government is following some constitution written by some normal man, and I mentioned strange laws are there which we have to follow that they wrote. So, that was, now this is what people are fighting for, constitution, maintaining constitution. But constitution is always changing. People are bringing new laws, taking out laws. It's man-made, it's not perfect. So why should you fight for that? We should fight for a perfect system. So God has a perfect system. The Vedas and representative God, like Manu Samhita, Parashara Samhita, Smriti, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Now, due to propaganda, they're making very bad propaganda against these Shastras. Should not rule, especially Manu Samhita, they criticize. But otherwise, what will you do? I mean, even now there's a big problem in our society. Crime, immorality, corruption. So it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. But if we take the system of God, then the corruption level will be minimum. At least the laws are perfect, but the people who implement won't be. Then we have to deal just with that problem. So the rulers were taught Bhagavad Gita, they'll rule according to Gita, and therefore it was taught to them in the beginning. And the people saw the ruler as God. Because he was on that level, they were Raj Rishis. They were very pure, they'll sacrifice anything. And the exemplar for this example is Lord Ram. So when Ramachandra was here, he showed how an ideal ruler should rule. He gave up his own comforts and likes or dislikes for benefit of the state, what he was ruling. So, but People who speak about that, Prabhupada explained that people want Ram Rajya, again they want it like this. But at the same time, they don't want to be dharmic, they don't want to follow Shastra, they don't want to follow God. That won't be possible. We have to have if we want to have a society which is so peaceful and in harmony with each other, then we have to bring God. God's rules and guidance, we have to follow that. Otherwise it's not possible. So the perfect order, perfect society will have strong rulers and the other varnas will be trained. And in this society there'll be no crime. No crime, there'll be no scarcity. Everyone will have enough resources and everyone can fulfill the goal of life. Whatever stage, Bhagavad Gita says everyone in the society can attain Krishna. So the society will be ideal, everyone can attain bhakti and can attain Krishna. Now it's very difficult. What rules we want to follow, we have to get permission for Rath Yatra or they'll refuse maybe. I was preaching in a country in Africa and we went permission for Harinam. No, we don't want disorder, violence. No, there's no violence, we're going to do Harinam. How do you do? We chant on the road. On the road you'll go and chant your God's name. How can you do that? No, it's something strange for them. So again we went second time. After some time we thought we'll go, they'll maybe change their mind. After going 3 times, then we were not getting permission. So we found one temple in South Africa that, how did you get permission? They said, you know what? We just went out and even nothing happened. So one day we prepared, we went out, but there it's very difficult because they may attack you, heavy, police. So we thought, oh, what do we do? So, okay, we just went out. Everyone was happy, clapping, it looks innocent, people just chanting, instruments, people joined in, then we saw police and they were smiling. Then we went, and after that, that was it, that was okay. Anyway, the point is that now the law, it's not inclined to necessarily for bhakti, this system. We have to have a system inclined for devotional service, at least for culture and morality. And so, good to follow the Vedic system. Gradually that can be brought back. Hare Krishna. Any question?
How do we deal with this issue, like implementation? System is perfect, but
people are not perfect. There are 2 ways. One is that grassroots. We have to change society. You change society through book distribution. We distribute books, one by one, slowly people change. Books have to go a lot of books have to go out. This will change people. One disciple of Prabhupada, Rameshwaram Prabhu, he explained, Prabhupada was saying that what will happen if you distribute a lot of books? Gradually, population will change and it will become more auspicious because people are following things, so demigods will be more favorable, to these people. The atmosphere will be auspicious, that even if a child is born, in that atmosphere he'll be godly. This way the godly people will increase. By subtle effects of the books and the gross effect that people are reading and following, but many, like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, if it's in the house, it's also pure. So now like this, when the number of pure people increase, pious, so naturally the government they'll elect a good person. That's one way. Another way is the people who are in charge, you keep preaching to them. You come somehow, just like we have our ISKCON Delhi, very nice work they've done because they've tried to engage with leaders in a very nice way. All is bringing, I don't want to say names, but even now, recently I went and leaders of society are interacting and becoming devotees and their kids are coming. So, two-pronged approach. One is mass book distribution for lower level, and then a person cannot be sinful. The people say, we will not elect you. Another is that the leaders directly you change them and influence them. Example is like, for example, when recently a country, Ukraine, some time back, Ukraine was a communist for long time. After some time they decided we're not going to have communist rule. Can anyone tell us what rule we can have? Now at that time if devotees came and said, look, this rule, let's have self-sufficient farm communities, let people chant the names of God, and have a ruler one party, but that rulers should be trained from young age. They might have taken it, but we were not ready to explain them. We are not knowing ourselves, and that time will come maybe here also one day. Government will say, we want to change this government system. Who has some suggestion? So we should be ready to advise upper class and the masses of people. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.